Great. So those of you already connected with me, quickly go grab a pen and a paper. Make sure you have your signature handy or anybody else's signature who you are interested in decoding. Keep it handy so that we can help you in decoding the same. So let me go back and check. All set, all good. Everybody, very warm welcome to each one of you. And those of you watching this live on the YouTube, thank you so much for taking some time and being there and exploring a possibility of you understanding the science behind decoding a signature. So ladies and gentlemen, the focus is very simple. It's a pretty laser sharp 30-minute session. And today I want to focus on signatures exclusively. So I have also live audience with me on the Zoom, and thank you for taking time and being here. And all these are my students who are from different levels of learning. Some of them are professional handwriting analysts, some of them are on their way to become a professional handwriting analyst, and some of them are the graduates of Inner Physician program, which is focused on health and handwriting. So everybody say hello to all the participants who are watching us live. So everybody on the camera, say hello to all the participants who are watching us live onto the YouTube. Thank you for taking time and being here. So as I said, 30-minute sharp session on signature. My understanding of a signature, being in this domain from past 18 years, has been very simple. For me, your signature is your biggest affirmation. It is something every time you sign, you're actually putting across a message to the universe and also to your subconscious mind. So when I meet people, my first focus is that, can I support them in bringing them back into writing, handwriting, and also doing signatures, because it's a beautiful affirmation which you can practice. Because today the world is, really looking at practicing affirmations in a larger way. How many of you agree with me on that? And we have affirmations for everything: health, affirmations for wealth, affirmations for creating relationship. But what we forget is that the Almighty gave us a very beautiful insight, and that is your handwriting, which is not just coming from your hand, it is coming from your subconscious mind. And the best way you can practice any affirmation is your own name. Because every time, as I said, every time you sign, you're actually putting across a message to the universe and also to your subconscious mind, and you're reaffirming who you are as a person. So when the power of the signature is so powerful, and the affirmation really works so powerful, so it's important that we get this communication right. So today I'm starting a series of education in terms of giving you an insight into how we can help you to have an empowering signature so that you can have the message powerful for the universe and also for your subconscious mind. And trust me when I say this session is not about making you change a signature. This session is more on understanding it, because what comes before a change is understanding what to change. Because sometimes in the name of change, we end up changing what is working for us. How many of you understand that? So what is important is, my idea is not to make you change your signature. First, make you understand what your signature says about you, and let's get the communication right, and then we'll talk about the change. So in a layman's approach, if you ask me, Imran, is signature still relevant in this digital world? Yes, it is. And even if you're not using it on a professional level, or even if you're not using it on a documentation level, can you use this as a way of empowering your mindset? So that's the invitation for all of you. So I agree, I accept. You may not be writing, you may not be signing. Let's come back to writing, even if it is not an official or a documentation purpose. The second reason I want you to write your signature and sign your signature and get back to writing is, in Sanskrit, we have a very beautiful approach towards names. How many of you agree with me? Give me a big yes if you. And I'm sure the people who decided your name did put in a lot of efforts to get you a best name, get you a powerful name. So now that you got a powerful name, what is important is, in Sanskrit, it says, how you say that name is also important. How you pronounce your name is also very important. And similarly, whenever you do the meditation, whenever you're doing japna, so what is important is how you say the God's name also is very important, because it's again a frequency, it's again an energy. How many of you agree with me on that? So now that you got your name right, you got your pronunciation right, it's also important how you write right. Okay. So I'm going to share insights into it. But if you ask me, Imran, what is the first thing you look at in somebody's signature? So even before I get on to decoding the signature, let's understand signature on a larger perspective. It is a projected personality. What is a projected personality? For example, if I'm going to ask Ms. Brunelli, how do you want to introduce yourself? You'll always like to have your best foot forward, right? अगर मैं संध्या जी से बताऊं, संध्या जी बताइए कि आप अपने बारे में क्या बताना चाहेंगे? संध्या जी will always look at the best aspect I can use to introduce myself. Make sense? Are you all with me? So what is important is you need to really understand the essence where you're coming from. Okay, so the signature is your projected personality. This is what you want the world to see. And having said that, now you might have a question in your mind that, Imran, if the signature is a projected personality, how accurate is the analysis of my signature? Because it's just a projection. It may not be my true personality. But what you need to really understand is, because you're projecting a particular personality consistently, there are high chances it has become your personality. Because in NLP, if you understand the science of NLP, it says that it's a very beautiful way of looking at it. It says, are you with me? Fake it before you make it. So you're consistently faking your personality. You want to have the best of it. And there are high chances it is a huge reflection of who you have become out of you being consciously projecting the personality. So whenever you're putting your best foot forward, I want to support you in having that communication right. Are you all with me on that? So that's what we're going to be doing. So today, as a handwriting analyst, I want you to understand how a handwriting analyst looks at a signature. So let's do this. So thank you everybody for sharing your signatures. I did ask for some signatures onto the group and people were very enthusiastic. We had only a couple of entries left and people actually bombarded us with all the possible signatures, which is really exciting. And thank you for doing that. So let me show you some of the signatures I have handy in front of me right now. So the signature which I have right now in front of me is of one of my students. And the moment I look at this signature, I want you to consider, and this is for everybody. So no matter what type of signatures I see, what is important for me is the way I'm going to be approaching a signature. And if you're sitting there and wondering, Imran, signature is basically, when I'm decoding the signature, I also experience this phenomena, and we call this phenomena as my gut feeling. I have this inclination. मुझे अंदर से एक आवाज आ रही है कि thinking that, okay, this might be this person. Are you with me? And I want to tell you something. Whenever you see that your intuition, your gut feeling is coming into the play of you analyzing the signature, please take my word seriously. Stop analyzing the signature at that moment. And one of the reasons why I'm here to show you this insight into the signatures, because when I look into my signatures, the way I look at, I decode my the people's signature is, I don't operate from a gut feeling. I don't operate from my intuition, because this is a science. Because if I'm operating from my intuition and my gut feeling, Nivedita cannot duplicate that, because she can never get my frequency, right? Gauri Prasad can never get what I'm actually asking, what I am able to see, So I want you to have an approach that if I can do it, you can also do it, because I'm following science and you will follow the same methodology. It's like H2O. If I don't give you H2O, Dr. Raj Lakshmi, H2O, if she combines this, she will still get water. Okay, Debashri, no matter which part of the world she is in, if she's going to use the same formula, water is possible. So ऐसा नहीं कि मेरे हाथ में ही ये जादू है, ऐसा नहीं कि मेरे हाथ में ही ये power है. No, you can all have this power. So the first rule is, I know everybody knows as a handwriting analyst, no judgmental, but the important rule here is that no gut feeling. So if I look at Archana ji's handwriting, मेरे मन में बात आई शायद ये भी problem होगा उनको. मुझे लगता है ये भी उनका ये issue हो सकता है, लेकिन आप उससे operate नहीं करेंगे जी. Operate only what you see, operate only what you have to communicate, don't bring in your emotions, don't bring in your gut feeling, no intuition required. You can use this in other domains. You can use this in other practices, what you have, not in handwriting and signature analysis. Clear, everybody? Done. Second thing which I look at when I look at the signature is, I'm going to bring that forth in front of you right now. So if I'm going to be opening up a signature, if I look at the signature, the first thing I'm going to look at the signature and find out is that what is the size of the signature? For me, the size really matters. So when I say the size, I'm right now referring to the size, which is the overall size of the signature. So now when I look at this signature, I'm looking at the overall size of the signature. overall signature size. I want your signature to be big. How big it should be? Now consider that is to be big. How big? We're going to definitely have that. So the idea here is that it has to be big. Now the question is, Imran, why a signature should be big? One of the conversations I always come across from people is that, Imran, I don't want to have my signature. My name is too big. I don't want to have a longer signature or a big signature. So I'm not talking about the length of the signature. I'm talking about the overall signature size. It has to be big. Why? It has to be big, as much big as possible, like Kiran's signature here, because when you have a big signature, it talks about positive ego. What does it talk about? It talks about positive ego. Now, I know the moment I say the word ego, you might have another interpretation. Imran, aham is not good. Ego is not right. I think we need to not have a signature big so that we don't have a positive ego. Now, you get my word right. I'm talking about positive ego. And positive ego is a must if you really want to create a success for yourself. I floated a form asking people, what is the question you want to ask me about your signature? Is there something which you want to have a conversation with me? I had a lot of questions saying that, Imran, how do I increase my money frequency using a signature? So if you are looking for money frequency, if you're looking for success, I think the first step you need to be really working on is looking at the increasing or the size of your signature. Positive ego is something all the trainers, authors, all the famous and the successful people, happy people have it. And the power of positive ego is it gives you the power of the vitamin N. Are you with me? When you have a positive ego and you have a big signature, it gives you vitamin N. Can somebody tell me what is vitamin N? You know what is vitamin N? Vitamin N is the power of saying no. Vitamin N is the power of saying no. The problem in our life is not about saying, yes, it's about saying no. Most of us end up losing this power, in fact, of not having a power to say no. So we say yes to everything, and that's why we become miserable, and you need to make your stand right. So this is one aspect. The second aspect is that you need to believe that you have something inside of you. And when you do the talking, when you communicate your message, there's a value for other people out of their listening, out of their reading. That's why I say, if you're looking at becoming a trainer, facilitator, author, you want to create a success story where you want to be inspired and inspiring others, you need to have positive ego, because all the authors need to have this. Imagine if I'm supposed to be writing a book, if I don't believe that I have a message which can add value to people who are reading my book, I will never write the book. Are you all with me? Okay, let me clarify this. How many of you want to write a book? Imran, I see myself as an author in the future, and I want to break this biggest myth. You know what is the myth? All of you think you need to understand the methodology of writing the book. No, that's most easiest part. Now, if you're sitting there, Imran, writing a book, I need to have a topic in my mind. No, that can be also fixed. What is important is you need to fix your frequency here. That do you believe you have a message for the world? Do you believe inside of you that you have something which you want to say, share it with the world, and that will add value to people who are listening to you and reading to you? And that is what is missing. And once you crack that, everything will fall into place. And in less than 2 weeks' time, you can actually write a book. How many of you agree with me on that? Yeah. So the power of positive ego. So a big signature. Number two, even if you're not having a bigger signature, at least make sure the first letter of your signature being big. Now look at Kiran's signature here. I want your first letter to be big, at least 4 times bigger than a regular signature. Or rest of the letters. Are you all with me? At least 4 times. So for example, look at Anthony. So the A is bigger than the rest of the signature, which is very good. So if I'm looking Jalpa, I want to have Jalpa, my suggestion is always start your signature with a capital letter, and this J is good. Okay, not the smaller one, the bigger one. Okay, and look at this Nilesh ji ka jo signature hai. So Nilesh ji, you will need to have a signature. N should be big, at least 4 times bigger, the first letter. So now that we are talking about the size in signature, first I started overall signature size. Second thing is at least the first letter of your name should be capital, and it should be at least 4 times bigger than it. And if you have a surname, the size of the N and the size of the M should be the same. So if I have Imran Baig, so I and the B should be of the same size. So no change of signature there. So I'm still sticking on to the signature size, overall size, or at least the first letter big. Number 3, the third thing is whenever you look at anybody's signature, look at the size of the middle zone letters. Now, in case of Rohitji's, Dr. Rohit's signature, look at the O is big, the hump of the H became small, the I is little standing out. Again, this is more consistent. Can you see Ahuja has more consistent size than the Rohit there? So similarly, every time you write, make sure that all your middle zone letters are also consistent. In case of Jalpa, look at the A, P, and A is consistent. Again, but what happened here is that, can you see the variation in the baseline happen and the size again happen? So what happens with this? Variation in the size of the middle zone leads to inconsistency in energy levels, inconsistency in your behavior. So these people are not able to keep up with their commitment, consistency on a longer run. So they tend to get, distracted very fast. They tend to have many inclinations at one time. They're trying to focus on too many things. So they're not able to maintain it. So I'm okay if you don't have consistency in your energy, but inconsistency in your behavior, not accepted. And people quickly sense this. So this is what you need to be really focusing on. So I'm still talking about the size of the writing itself. Now, third thing, whenever talking about the size, make sure the space between your name and your surname, there should not be too much of a gap. The name and your surname, there should not be too much of a gap. The ideal gap is, so this is for Jalpa, the ideal gap between Jalpa and Desai should be 1 character or 2 characters. So that means if I'm going to write another A here and one more letter A here, so that's good enough. Can you see this is a little longer than what the space is? Same thing, even when you wrote your name Jalpa, look at the space between Jalpa and Tushar and the space between. So I want you to have the space consistently in all the, between your name and your surname. And Anthony, you need to have at least 1 letter space between the initial and your surname. Okay, Kiranji, 1 letter space or 2 letters, and make sure it is consistent. That's what you need to keep in mind. Whenever you practice your signature next time, make sure you keep this in mind. So these are the 2 things I look at. And this is how I decode the signature. The next thing I want to look at and tell you about the signature is, okay, so we completed about the size of the signature. Are you all clear about that? Very good. So first, interpretation, size. I'm not even getting into the letters as of now. First interpretation is size. So let me repeat it. Overall size, at least the first letter size, or the space between the name and the surname, or the size of the individual letters in the writing. Now let's look at the second aspect. Make sure your signature should always be tilting towards 45 degrees. So when I look at any signature, if it is straight or it is going down. And in a regular conversation, everybody will say, even if they are not a handwriting analyst, say, okay, नीचे जा रहा है तो depression है, ऊपर जा रहा है तो optimism है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं. So the idea here is when you keep your signature 45-degree tilt, okay, and you're underlining the signature. So this is what is important. So 45-degree and underlining, this talks about self-leadership. Everybody make a note of this. 45-degree tilt and underlining talks about self-leadership. Now, when I talk about self-leadership is not about leading a team or managing people or empowering or motivating people. For me, leadership is all about, can you be your biggest cheerleader? Can you stand by your own self? Can you stand by your own decisions? No matter whatever is the outcome of your decision. Because one of the habits we have as human beings is that we disown a decision if the outcome of the decision is not favorable to you. Are you with me? We disown a decision. Yeah, ये मेरा decision नहीं था. No, मैंने बोला था ऐसा नहीं करेगा, ये काम नहीं करेगा, but we actually do that. Are you with me? So you need to always have a underline. So I really want you to consider having an underline in your signature. For example, if I look at Poonamji's signature here, I will like to have 1 straight line rather than having 2 small lines. or overlapping line. And I want it to be 45 degree. And remember, in graphology, a straight line has more strength than a curved line. A straight line has more strength than a curved line. So that's very important. So Anthony, straight lines. This is not really straight. This third line is more straight compared to the first two lines. Okay, Jalpa, straight line. Can you see it's forming a small umbrella there, which is again not a good size. Remember, we talk about self-control in the T-bar, and the same can be reflected there. So it has to be a very straight line there. And it has to be 45 degree tilt, not more than 45 degree. So self-leadership. Self-leadership is all about, can you stand by your own decisions? Can you cheer yourself up? Can you believe in your own self rather than anybody else believing in you? So these are the two things which I want to focus on your signatures. I hope you all are looking into the signatures which you have collected over the period of time, or your own signature, in fact. And now that I have given you these two things, let me tell you the corrections also. Ladies and gentlemen, before you start working on your signature, record your original signature and keep it safely, whatever you're practicing, because this is what you're using in your bank, in your documentation, and I don't want your muscle memory to fade away and you don't remember your previous signature. So please record your original signature, safeguard that. Take a picture, save it. Second thing, what you need to do is, whenever you are working on your own signature, for example, Paramjit ji ko main bola ki signature thoda bada kijiye, and she now is focusing on increasing her size of the signature. She will consistently only focus on one thing at a time. So Jyoti ji will only focus on getting the size of her signature and the name right. So once she has a control over the size of the signature, then she will be working on others. So you can practice a original signature, the new signature, in a plain unruled sheet. Don't use a rule sheet. And every day, at least 17 to 21 times, if you can write your signature and then talk about the size of your signature, first letter of your signature, and that will be a good idea. Are you with me? So this is how you need to practice. Second thing is, in the name of practice, do not write your signature or sign your signature every possible time and every possible place. The problem with most of us is that you don't value your own signature. Then how do you expect others to do it? For example, right now you all are sitting in a session. I asked you to record your signature. You know what? Even before I look at your signature, I want to see where have you signed it. Are you okay signing your name anywhere possible? And that also talks about your frequency. That also talks about your, alignment. And I don't like it when people are using it on a U sheet. You just sign it in one corner. So that really talks about it. So if you're really looking at giving people giving you an acknowledgement for who you are, you need to start from yourself. Third thing, whenever you're practicing on your signature, Manishi and everybody, keep one pen handy. And that should be your signature pen. This is one of the etiquettes of the pen. I have worked with a lot of lawyers in the forgeries and criminal documentation and everything. And what matters is the pen which you use. So you need to have one signature pen, whichever pen. I'm not here to endorse any brand. Whichever pen you're comfortable with, keep that pen and practice it only using that pen. So whenever you sign your signature, wherever you're practicing it, make sure you use the same pen. In fact, I'll tell you, buy an unruled book. Keep that book only to practice your signatures, apart from your regular graphotherapy. So the routine should be, write your graphotherapy, spend few minutes writing your signature. And the first two things which you need to focus from today's learning is, make your signature big, or at least make first letter of your signature big. Okay, in the coming sessions, I'll also tell you how to get your capital letters right. Maybe that will be a good way of bringing in more energy. Second thing is, make sure the size of your middle zone letters are consistently the same. Third, make sure it is tilted 45 degree and it has an underline. And the space between the surname and the original name, the first name and the surname, make sure it is also taken care of. Are you with me? So this is a quick learning. So this is a 30-minute session on signatures. I'll definitely come back with more learning and more insight into your signature. So look forward. My commitment is every Wednesday between 5 and 5:30, we should have a signature conversation. And this should be your learning, because the idea is not collecting information. It's all about, taking, measurable steps each week, each day. And that is going to help you to crack the code of transformation. I hope you all had fun. And if you're really interested in understanding more about signatures, we do a longer session on signature masterclass. You're most welcome to connect and learn from it. So ladies and gentlemen, this is Imran Baig. I'm a penmanship influencer. For more information, connect with me on my website, imranbaig.com.